Scene 1. Cold open hook. What would you do if everything you worked for suddenly disappeared? Imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering that the thing you depended on most is gone. Your job, your income, your business, your relationship, your comfort zone. The place where you felt safe, the routine you trusted, the future you expected. Gone. Most people think change happens gradually. One small step at a time. Slowly. Predictably. Manageably. But life doesn't always work that way. Sometimes, a single phone call changes everything. A sudden decision changes everything. A crisis changes everything. Overnight. And when that moment arrives, you face a choice. Fight reality, hide from it, complain about it, or adapt. Because change itself is not what determines your future. Your response to change does. Introduce the story. That is why a simple story about 4 tiny characters living inside a maze, searching for cheese, has inspired millions of people around the world. Because the cheese isn't really cheese. It's the things we all chase. Success, money, security, relationships, dreams. And one day, the cheese disappears. And when it does, everything changes. Because sooner or later, life moves the cheese. The question is, will you know how to move with it?
Scene 2. Meet the characters.
Deep inside a vast and complicated maze. A maze filled with endless corridors, unexpected turns, dead ends, and hidden opportunities. Live 4 very different characters. Sniff and Scurry. Small, simple, practical. Sniff has a special talent. He notices change early. He can sense when things are shifting, even before anyone else realizes it. Scurry's different. He doesn't overthink. He acts. The moment he sees a problem, he starts moving. Ham and haw. Unlike the mice, they have complex thoughts, beliefs, fears, dreams. Their intelligence helps them solve problems. But sometimes, it also creates them. They analyze, worry, question everything. Just like many of us, every single day, all 4 wander through the maze, searching for cheese, hoping to find it, hoping to keep it. But here's the secret. The cheese isn't really cheese. It's a symbol. It represents the things we all chase in life. Success, money, love, security, opportunity, recognition, freedom, happiness. For some people, the cheese is a dream career. For others, it's financial freedom, a successful business, a loving family, a meaningful life. The form changes, but the search is the same. Because whether we realize it or not, every one of us is inside a maze, searching, trying to reach something better. And just like these 4 characters, we believe that once we find our cheese,
everything will be okay. But life has a habit of changing the rules, because finding the cheese is only the beginning of the story. The real challenge begins when the cheese starts to move.
Scene 3, the comfort zone trap. After days of searching, days of uncertainty, wrong turns, and endless wandering through the maze, something incredible happens. The 4 characters discover a massive cheese station. More cheese than they ever imagined. Fresh, abundant, reliable. At first, they're thrilled, excited, grateful. Every day they arrive, and every day, the cheese is waiting for them. Slowly, life becomes easier, comfortable, predictable, safe. The mice establish a routine. The tiny humans become even more relaxed. They stop searching, stop exploring, stop preparing. Him and Hall begin believing that the cheese belongs to them, that it will always be there, that nothing will ever change. And isn't that exactly what happens to us? When life is going well, we stop questioning, we stop growing, we stop paying attention. Success becomes routine. Routine becomes comfort. Comfort becomes complacency. And complacency becomes danger. Because comfort has a hidden cost. It makes us believe tomorrow will look exactly like today. Small changes begin appearing. The cheese isn't quite as abundant. The situation isn't quite the same. The environment is slowly shifting. But nobody notices. Businesses do this. Employees do this. Investors do this. Entire industries do this. Things are working. They stop looking for change. The longer success lasts, the more permanent it feels. The more secure it seems, the more we believe that we finally arrived. But life never stands still. Markets change. Technology changes. People change. Opportunities change. Everything changes. And the greatest danger isn't change itself. It's becoming so comfortable that you fail to see it coming. Because while the 4 characters enjoy their comfort, something is already happening. The cheese station is changing. And soon, everything they depend on will disappear.
Scene 4, the cheese disappears.
Then one day, everything changes. Just like every other morning, the 4 characters make their way through the maze, following the same path, expecting the same outcome, trusting the same routine. But when they arrive, something is different. The cheese station is empty. The cheese is gone. No warning, no announcement, no explanation, just emptiness. The place that once felt secure now feels unfamiliar, cold, silent, uncertain. Everything they depended on has disappeared. The mice respond quick. They look around. They are surprised, but not shocked, because they notice the changes coming. They don't waste time asking why. They don't complain. They don't blame anyone. They simply accept reality. The cheese is gone. So they start searching for new cheese.
But him and Hall react differently. Much differently. They stare at the empty station, confused, angry, afraid,
disbelieving. Questions begin. This can't be happening. Who took it? Why would someone do this? This isn't fair. Instead of looking forward, they become trapped in the past. And that's exactly what many of us do when life changes unexpectedly. We lose a job, a business struggles, a relationship ends, a plan falls apart. And our first reaction isn't acceptance, it's resistance. Because people often resist what they cannot control. We fight reality, argue with it, wish it were different, even though reality never changes because we complain. The mice understand something simple. When circumstances change, you must change too. But him and Hall are stuck, not because the maze has trapped them, but because their thinking has. The empty cheese station isn't their biggest problem. Their inability to accept it is. Because change itself is rarely what hurts us most. It's our resistance to change. As the mice disappear into the maze searching for new opportunities, him and Hall remain behind, waiting, complaining, hoping the old cheese will somehow return. But one of them is about to learn a lesson that will change everything.
Scene 5. Why we resist change.
Him becomes angry. Not just disappointed. Not just surprised. Angry. He stares at the empty cheese station, unable to believe what he's seeing. Day after day, the cheese was there. Reliable. Predictable. A part of his life. And now it's gone. Without warning. Without explanation. Without permission. This isn't fair. Who moved my cheese? Why did this happen to me? Instead of searching for solutions, him searches for someone to blame. Someone responsible. Someone who caused the problem. Because blame feels easier than change. And if we're honest, most of us do the same thing. When life doesn't go according to plan, we ask why. We complain. We replay the situation over and over, wishing reality were different. A company restructures. A job disappears. Technology changes an industry. A relationship ends. And instead of adapting, we resist. We spend hours, days, sometimes years, fighting what has already happened. But reality don't negotiate. It don't change because we dislike it. It don't reverse because we complain. It simply is. Every minute Ham spends being angry is a minute not spent finding no cheese. Every complaint, it keeps him stuck. Every excuse keeps him in the past. The greatest danger isn't change itself. It's refusing to accept that change has happened. Because the moment you stop arguing with reality, you free yourself to move forward. The mice don't waste time asking who moved the cheese. They don't need answers. They need action. And action creates options. Him believes the problem is the missing cheese. The real problem
Is his unwillingness to let go. When change arrives, you always have two choices. Resist reality or adapt to it. One choice drains your energy. The other
creates your future. As him becomes more frustrated, another character begins to wonder, what if staying here is more dangerous than moving? And that question is about to change everything. Scene 6. Adapt faster.
While Ham stands frozen in frustration, the mice do something completely different. They don't complain. They don't argue. They don't waste time asking why. They simply accept what happened. Sniff looks at the empty station. Scurry looks at the empty station. And within moments, they understand the situation. The cheese is gone. That's the reality. Not the reality they wanted. Not the reality they expected. But reality nonetheless. Most people stop here. They argue with reality. Fight it. Complain about it. The mice don't. Instead, they turn around and begin searching immediately because they understand something powerful. The maze don't care about excuses. The maze don't reward complaints. The maze only rewards movement. The cheese is moved. So they move too. That's it. No complicated strategy. No endless analysis. No emotional drama. Just adaptation. Think about how often life changes. Technology evolves. Industries transform. Markets shift. Relationships change. Opportunities move. Nothing stays the same forever. Yet many people spend months or years trying to bring back the old cheese. Trying to recreate the past.
Trying to return to what once was, while the future waits somewhere else. Adaptability as a superpower. The faster you accept change, the faster you can adapt. The faster you adapt, the faster you grow. The faster you find new opportunities. Every successful person, every successful company, every successful leader learns how to adapt before it's too late. Because success doesn't belong to the strongest or the smartest. It belongs to those who adjust. Every day you spend resisting change, someone else is adapting to it, learning from it, growing through it, benefiting from it. While Ham stands frozen in frustration, the mice do something completely different. They don't complain. They don't argue. They don't waste time asking why. They simply accept what happened. Sniff looks at the empty station. Scurry looks at the empty station. And within moments, they understand the situation. The cheese is gone. That's the reality. Not the reality they wanted. Not the reality they expected. But reality nonetheless. Most people stop here. They argue with reality.
complain about it. The mice don't. They turn around and begin searching immediately because they understand something powerful. The maze doesn't care about excuses. The maze doesn't reward complaints. The maze only rewards movement.
The cheese has moved. So they move too. That's it. No complicated strategy. No endless analysis. No emotional drama. Just adaptation. Think about how often life changes. Technology evolves. Industries transform. Markets shift. Relationships change. Opportunities move. Nothing stays the same forever. Yet many people spend months or years trying to bring back the old cheese, trying to recreate the past, trying to return to what once was, while the future waits somewhere else. The faster you accept change, the faster you can adapt. The faster you adapt, the faster you grow. The faster you find new opportunities. Every successful person, every successful company, every successful leader learns how to adapt before it's too late. Because success doesn't belong to the strongest or the smartest. It belongs to those who adjust. Every day you spend resisting change, someone else is adapting to it, learning from it, growing through, benefiting from it. The mice teach us a lesson that sounds simple, yet changes everything. When the cheese moves, move. Not because change is easy, but because refusing to change is harder. As the mice venture deeper into the maze, one of the tiny humans begins to realize something. Maybe the real danger isn't unknown future. Maybe it's staying exactly where you are. Scene 7. Fear versus growth. As the days pass, Hall remains at the empty cheese station, waiting, hoping, wishing things would go back to the way they were. But nothing changes. The cheese doesn't return. The situation doesn't improve, and the waiting only makes him more frustrated. That's when Hall begins to realize something important. Maybe staying here isn't safe at all. Maybe the comfort he was protecting no longer exists. And suddenly, a new thought appears. What if staying still is more dangerous than moving? The maze is scary. It's unfamiliar, uncertain, full of unknown paths and unknown risks. Just like real life. Starting a new career is scary. Launching a business is scary. Learning a new skill is scary. Moving to a new place is scary. Change is scary. But Hall discovers something most people overlook. There are two kinds of fear: the fear of moving forward and the fear of staying stuck. And one of them costs far more. Every day Hall remains where he is, his confidence shrinks, his opportunities disappear, his world becomes smaller. Fear grows when you stand still. Finally, Hall makes a decision. Not a perfect plan, not a guarantee of success, just one step. And the moment he takes that step, something unexpected happens. The fear doesn't disappear completely, but it becomes small, because action weakens fear. With every corridor he explores, his confidence grows. With every turn he takes, the maze becomes more familiar. With every obstacle he overcomes, he becomes stronger. This is true for all of us.
We often imagine the worst. We create giant fears in our minds. We build walls that don't actually exist. And then we become trapped by them. But fear survives in imagination. Action exposes reality. And reality is usually far less frightening than our fears. Soon, Hall notices something. The maze hasn't changed. He has. Every step forward makes the maze less frightening. Every challenge faced creates courage. Every action taken creates growth. The goal isn't to eliminate fear. The goal is to move despite it. Because courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision that something else matters more. As Hall ventures deeper into the maze, he begins discovering something surprising. The new cheese isn't the only thing waiting for him. A new version of himself is waiting too. Scene 8. The power of letting go. As Hall continues his journey through the maze, he begins to understand a deeper truth. A truth that applies to every person, every dream, and every stage of life. The hardest part of change isn't finding something new. It's letting go of the old. Most people think they struggle because they don't know where to go. But often, the real struggle is much simpler. They're still attached to where they've been. Hall remembers the old cheese station. The comfort, the certainty, the familiar routine, the feeling of security. And part of him wants it back. We've all been there. Holding on to a relationship that has already ended. Holding on to a job that no longer fulfills us. Holding on to old beliefs that no longer serve us. Holding on to a version of ourselves that we've already outgrown. Because what's familiar feels safe. Even when the past is limiting us, we cling to it. Not because it's good, but because it's known. And the unknown feels frightening. But Hall begins to say something. Every time he looks backward, he stops moving forward. Every time he wishes for the old cheese, he loses sight of new opportunities. The past is becoming a chain. The lesson of growth always requires release. A tree sheds old leaves. A snake sheds old skin. A butterfly leaves behind its cocoon. Transformation
requires letting go. Sometimes it's old habits, the habits that once helped us, but now hold us back. Old identities. Sometimes it's old identities. The stories we've told ourselves for years. I'm not good enough. I'm too old. I'm not ready. Beliefs that keep us trapped in the same maze. And sometimes it's simply comfort. The desire to stay where things feel predictable, even when we know we're meant for more. As Hall walks deeper into the maze, he makes a choice. To stop longing for what was and start embracing what could be. To release the past. Because you cannot carry yesterday into tomorrow forever. At some point, you must put it down. You cannot move forward while holding on to the past. The opportunities ahead of you require space. The future you're seeking requires openness. Growth requires surrender. The moment Hall lets go, something incredible begins to happen. The maze no longer feels like a prison. It starts to feel like an adventure. And soon, he'll discover a secret that successful people understand better than anyone else.
Scene 9. Anticipate change. As Hall travels deeper into the maze, he begins noticing something he never saw before. The signs were always there. Small clues. Tiny changes. Warnings that the cheese was disappearing. The cheese station hadn't changed overnight. It had been changing gradually. Little by little. Day by day. But because life felt comfortable, nobody paid attention. That's when Hall learns one of the most important lessons in the maze. Successful people don't wait for change. They expect it. Most people react to change. After it happens. After the opportunity's gone. After the market shifts. After the problem becomes obvious. By then, they're already behind. But highly successful people think differently. They understand that nothing lasts forever. Not success, not comfort, not trends, not even failure. Everything changes. Because they expect change, they prepare for it. They keep learning, keep adapting, keep improving, even when things are going well. The best businesses don't wait until they're losing customers. They innovate before they have to. The best leaders don't wait for crises. They prepare before problems arrive. The most successful people don't wait until they're forced to grow. They choose growth early. Hall realizes that change always leaves clues. A shift in behavior, a new opportunity, a change in trend, a feeling that something isn't quite the same. The signs are there for those willing to notice.
The cost of ignoring reality. The problem isn't that change happens. The problem is that most people ignore the signals. They become comfortable, complacent, certain that tomorrow will look exactly like today. And that's when they're caught by surprise. The new mindset. Hall makes a promise to himself. Never become too comfortable.
Never stop paying attention. Never assume success is permanent. Stay aware. Stay flexible. Stay ready. Core lesson. Because change isn't an interruption to life. It is life. Seasons change. People change. Technology changes. Opportunities change. Everything changes. Powerful conclusion. The people who thrive aren't those who avoid change. They're the ones who see it coming, prepare for it, and move with it. Because change is not the exception. It's the rule. Transition hook. And once Hall fully accepts this truth, the maze stops feeling unpredictable, stops feeling threatening, and starts revealing opportunities everywhere. Because the greatest reward of change is often hidden on the other side of it.
Scene 10. Enjoy the journey.
As Hall continues his journey through the maze, something unexpected begins to happen. At first, he was searching for cheese, searching for security, searching for answers, searching for what he had lost. But somewhere along the way, the journey itself starts changing him. Each new corridor teaches him something. Each challenge makes him stronger. Each obstacle reveals a new possibility. And slowly, his fear is replaced by curiosity. For the first time, Hall stops focusing on what he's missing and starts noticing what he's gaining. Experience, wisdom, confidence, courage. The maze no longer feels like a threat. It feels like an adventure. Every turn becomes a discovery. Every pathway becomes a possibility. Every day becomes an opportunity to grow. Most people fear uncertainty because uncertainty means no guarantees, no clear map, no predictable outcome, no promise of success.
Powerful insight. But Hall realizes something profound. Uncertainty is also where possibility lives. It's where innovation happens, where growth happens, where new opportunities are born. A completely predictable life leaves little room for transformation. The gift hidden inside change. Looking back, losing the old cheese felt like a disaster, a setback, a painful loss, something unfair. But now he sees differently. Without that loss, he never would have left the old cheese station, never would have explored the maze, never would have discovered his strength, never would have grown. Sometimes the thing that feels like it's hurting you is actually helping you. Real life reflection. Think about the moments that changed your life. A rejection, a failure, a loss, an unexpected ending. At the time, they felt painful. But later, you realized they redirected you towards something better. The new mindset. Hall no longer asks, why is this happening to me? Instead, he asks,
What is this teaching me? Where is this leading me? What opportunity is hiding here? Core message. Because change isn't always loss. It isn't always punishment. It isn't always a setback. Sometimes it's a better future in disguise. Powerful conclusion. The maze hasn't become easier. Life hasn't become predictable.
The uncertainty is still there. But now, Hall welcomes it because he understands something most people never learn. Growth begins where comfort ends. And soon, after all the lessons, all the challenges, and all the growth, Hall is about to discover something extraordinary. Not just new cheese, but a completely new way of living.
Scene 11, Final Transformation.
Eventually. Oh, after all the fear, all the uncertainty, all the wrong turns, and all the lessons hidden within the maze, Hall finds new cheese. Not just a small piece, not just enough to survive, but more than he ever imagined. Bigger, better, more abundant. For a moment, he stands there in silence, looking at what he's found, remembering where he started, remembering the fear, the doubts, the resistance. And then something unexpected happens. He realizes that the new cheese was never the greatest reward. The journey was. Because the cheese wasn't the lesson. The lesson was learning how to move. What truly changed? The maze didn't change. Change didn't disappear. Uncertainty didn't vanish. Hall changed. The fearful version of him,
The one who wanted everything to stay the same, the one who resisted reality, no longer exists. A new understanding. Now he understands something that many people spend their entire lives avoiding. Change is not the enemy. It's the path. It's the teacher. It's the force that pushes us toward growth. Without change, there is no progress. Without uncertainty, there is no discovery. Without movement, there is no transformation. Universal message. Because life will always change. Opportunities will move. Markets will move. Technology will move. Technology will move. People will move. Circumstances will move. Nothing remains still forever. The question is not whether change will come. It will. The question is not whether the cheese will move. It always does. The real question is how you will respond. Will you cling to the past? Will you wait for things to return to normal? Will you let fear keep You trapped? Or will you adapt, learn, grow, and move forward? The final wisdom. Because every challenge contains an opportunity. Every ending contains a beginning. Every loss contains a lesson. And every change contains the possibility of something better. Strong closing. So when life moves your cheese, don't waste your energy asking why. Don't spend your future chasing the past. Don't stay trapped in yesterday. Move. Trust yourself. Trust the journey. Trust your ability to adapt. Because the people who thrive in life are not the ones who avoid change. They were the ones who learned to move with it. So ask yourself, the next time life changes, will you move too?